Share the screen and get going. Okay, can everybody see that? Is that clear, guys? Alison, are you seeing the title slide? Okay,
Yep.
great.
Yep.
I've done the introduction, so I won't waste time there. I do want to talk about this great company that I've worked for in 2 stints now for nearly 20 years. Actually, it may even be 20 years. Designs for Vision. We don't make the equipment, but we are the exclusive distributors for both Keeler and Volk, and have been for 35 years now. Once upon a time, we were a small little Australian-founded company. We're now part of a much bigger organisation called Paragon Care, which is listed on the stock exchange and worth in excess of $270 million, so a much bigger entity. So Designs for Vision now has been going for 44 years, and we don't just do Keeler and Volk, of course. We supply a full range of optometry equipment. And in talking to you guys today, we do like to remind you of that, because we are not just trying to sell you something now. We want to be your partners in your career, your optometric career, from day dot and for many, many more years to come. And of course, obviously, all that other equipment may, of course, be of interest to you at some point in the future. One of the things that was said to me when I very first started at Designs for Vision is, because we don't make the product, we don't have total control over that. But what we do have total control over is to offer a better service, a better support, a better backup to our customers than our competitors, because that's the thing that we can control. And so part of that ties in with this fact that I am a trained orthoptist many years ago now. Alison and Josh are both trained orthoptists. What it means is we understand the eye, we understand anatomy, we understand physiology and pathology. And we also understand equipment and how it's used and how it can help you in doing your job. So when you tie all that together, you're not just dealing with a company that will sell you the goods. We understand you. We understand your role in eye healthcare, and we understand equipment and how that fits in with that. And we want to work to serve you. As for Keeler, Keeler has been around a lot longer than Designs for Vision. So we're talking now well over a century. A company with worldwide distribution, still made in the UK, where a lot of companies would take their manufacturing offshore to make it cheaper. And one of the things about Keeler is they've been very unique and innovative over the years. So they were the first to come out with a BIO, binocular indirect ophthalmoscope, that didn't have a cable to the wall, to a power supply, to a battery. They put the battery up in the headband, and so suddenly you had a BIO with no cords or wires. Absolutely revolutionised things, I've got to say. They were also the first to have LED illumination. Now, LEDs are commonplace in this day and age, but once upon a time you had old school bulbs which burned hot, would die, not frequently, but you would certainly have to replace bulbs over the life of the device, and churn through more battery power. Now, LEDs use less power, they're whiter, they don't burn hot, and they last for often 10,000 to 30,000 hours. So very long lifespan, and often will outlive the equipment. And they're still the only manufacturer of a glass lens of handheld direct ophthalmoscope. So, like I said, very, very innovative and unique. And I think this is a fact, because we know there are 7 universities around Australia. The University of Melbourne is just one of those. And every year, more optometry students buy Keeler Diagnostic equipment than any other brand. And it's year on year, and it's university after university. It does not buck the trend. It'll vary. Some years it'll be 60%, 70%, whatever. But it's always Keeler. And there's a big reason, there's quite a few reasons why. I mean, Keeler is very much renowned for its premium optics. It's used by the majority of practitioners. If you look around when you're on placements, or with your instructors and your teachers, they don't have polarizing filters in their direct ophthalmoscope, so they're not trying to filter out the unwanted reflections using filters. They do it through alignment of optics, and that means that when you put filters in, you can actually lose the reflections that you need to see, the important reflections. So it's a very important point that LED illumination, which I've covered. We do huge student discounts. I think it's the only time we ever get anywhere near this sort of discounting in our company ever. Like, you know, a 20% discount is quite a big thing some days. But to be here, sitting here talking to you and actually offering some of this equipment for less than half the full price, so talking 60% discounts, it's really quite something. And in quite a few years now, Keeler's been offering a warranty which covers you for your life as a student, and then an additional 5 years after you graduate. So that could be that you're using this equipment for, you know, 2 to 3 years at uni, and then you are covered for that time, obviously, while you're at uni, and then a further 5 years after graduation. Now, I know that some companies sort of talk about 10 years here, 15 years here, a lifetime, whatever. You'll see a lot of small text, okay? We've got only one little bit of small text, and that is that it's got to be a manufacturing defect, okay? So you can't drop it after 5 years and say, oh, it's broken. Well, that's not Keeler's fault, so obviously they're not going to cover that warranty. But where we don't do exceptions on is the zipper on your bag or your case, or the power supply, or the cable broke, or something like that. So we're not just warranting the optics, we're warranting the entire Keeler delivery to you, no matter what that part is, as long as it's not your fault that it's broken, and it is a manufacturing defect, it will be covered. So it's actually a nice, simple, strong warranty that effectively gives you about 8 years or 7, 8 years of coverage on basically everything. Now, a common question we get asked, and I'm sure we'll still get asked it tomorrow when we're doing the hands-on, is that what's the difference between the two diagnostic sets? Well, there's actually only one difference. As you can see here, there's two pictures, but basically everything looks the same except for the direct ophthalmoscope. Okay, so one on the left is called the specialist set. It has a professional retinoscope in it, but it has a specialist ophthalmoscope head. And the one on the right is the professional set. It's got the professional retinoscope and the professional direct ophthalmoscope. So the bit I'm talking about here is this long head here. That's the specialist ophthalmoscope, and this is the more conventional looking professional. That is the only difference between these two sets. All the accessories, all the power supplies, everything else you get is exactly the same. And I'll talk about the specialist because this really is the world's finest direct ophthalmoscope. It's and the key really is the unique individually ground glass lenses, which offer superb optics. And I remember when I first started with Designs Vision all those years ago, I sat down with some clinicians at the Australian College of Optometry, and they said, well, I couldn't be without my specialist because I've used other direct ophthalmoscopes, and yes, I can see the back of the eye, that's not a problem. But what I see with a specialist is I can actually see texture of the retina. You can actually see the grainy texture of the retina, whereas every other ophthalmoscope I've used that's not Keeler or not a specialist actually makes it look more smooth. So in other words, not getting that extra level of definition and resolution. It has an enormous lens power range, so you'd never have a patient in front of you that you could not, do direct ophthalmoscopy on. So basically 45 diopters in each direction. And look, it's got 6 beams. It's got a pupillometer gauge, which is this little dial here, so you can judge pupil size. Very handy. And it'll come with an LED illumination and a bulb. And we do that for 2 reasons. And I think at some point we will just go to LED only, but as we've transitioned from bulb to LED, we occasionally hear some people say, oh, no, I prefer the color of the bulb. If they've been used to using a color of a bulb, it's slightly more yellow and LED is slightly more white. They're not that different. And so I think we will be able to transition to just purely LED in time. But for now, we're just giving you one of each, and it's interchangeable and you can choose what works best for you. So you've got all bases covered. And this is what makes the specialist so special. It's this Morton lens track system. It's a bit like a bike chain, So if you can imagine a bike, you've got your big sprocket at the front and your little one at the back wheel. Essentially, you've got this chain going around inside, and each one of those little carriages has an individually ground glass lens, and that's where the superb optics come from. So glass it's a big theme of today's presentation, because if you want to see something at its absolute best, acrylic, polycarbonate, plastic, whatever it is you want to talk about, is not going to stack up to glass, premium quality glass. So, for example, if you're using microscopes, whether they be research microscopes or operating microscopes for cataract surgery and other microsurgery, if it's an SLR lens on your camera, or a lens on your SLR camera, it's going to be glass. It's the only way that it's done, because when optics matter, it's always glass. It just is. So if that's important to you, to the best view, then the glass ophthalmoscope is the way to go. If you're more prefer to have, I should go back one step actually, and I might bring Josh in here. Josh, I'll stop screen sharing and I'll just get you on screen. I don't know how to make it large, but
if I talk, maybe.
If everyone can see Josh, yeah, you can. I can hear you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. If you can see me now, my camera's on.
Yeah. So one of the things that put a lot of people off with the specialist is they pick it up, and if you can just hold it by the handle, Josh, just to show how most people would actually pick it up, you would hold it by the handle. But because it's such a long head, it's hard for you to adjust or make all the adjustments, because some of the adjustments are actually up near the top of the head. So you're thinking, well, how the hell do I get my fingers up there if I'm holding the handle? Well, the answer is you don't hold the handle. It's actually a handle when it's a retinoscope. It's a handle when it's a professional. But in order to use the specialist, you actually have to hold the head, and the battery handle will be hanging out below, as you can see here, Josh demonstrating. So if you're going to use a specialist, it will seem foreign and very difficult to use if you hold it by the handle, and it must be used in this way. I just wanted to point that out. So I'll get back on track and screen share again. Okay, we're seeing that okay? So the conventional sort of ophthalmoscope that you're probably used to seeing is for us, it's called the Keeler Professional, and it has what they call a May wheel. I often think of it as if you went to go to a festival or a show or something, and there's a Ferris wheel, and around that Ferris wheel you've got little pods and carriages with seats where people sit in. Well, this is very similar. You have a wheel inside there that is actually a molded, stamped plastic wheel with plastic lenses all the way around that wheel. You can see the edges of the wheel here. This is the bit that you spin. And this is how all the other ophthalmoscopes are basically made. So they have plastic optics. And if you prefer this more conventional model to use, absolutely. It's still got quality Keeler optics. It's good, but it's not as good as glass. And I'm not going to try and tell you that it is. But it will stack up to any other ophthalmoscope on the market, of course, because Keeler make it and their optics are second to none. And it'll be more, easy to use, or more conventional method of use. So that's the other one. And the same thing happens here. You've got the same. We provide you with an LED and a bulb, again interchangeable. One thing that some people do really like about the professional, which you can't do on a specialist, is that this green filter can be put over any one of these 6 apertures or 6 graticules. So you can turn any one of those into green on top, which you can't do on the specialist. There's only one dedicated or 1 or 2 dedicated green spots. So again, some people like that. So they've made them different for that reason, to appeal to a different audience. Why is it not? Moving on to the ophthalmoscope, the retinoscope. I can read. It's the brightest red on the market, and again, most people use the LED for this reason, because it does give you that brightness and the longevity of charge and longevity of use, rather than using bulbs. But again, we provide both. The streak does tend to give a more defined. The bulb does tend to give a more defined streak if people are looking for that. But you're not really meant to use it in a defined way anyway, so the LED is fine. Josh is demonstrating it here. It has this beautiful. This area here, this is where you rotate the axis with this knurled collar. and that actually works on magnets, and it spins the bulb on the inside, or the LED on the inside, and actually turns the axis control. It's a beautiful, beautiful mechanism. So you have 360-degree axis to control it. It's very, very nice. It has a thing called double neutralization check, where you would normally have the collar there. There's this little collar. You'd normally have that down, and it will you'll have a certain movement depending on whether the person has a hyperopic or myopic refraction. And when you take the collar up, you'll get the opposite movement. Now people sort of say, well, what is that? What's that important for? It gets really useful when you get close to neutralizing their refraction, and the movement in the beam is very, very difficult to perceive. And you're not sure if we have fully neutralized it or not. And sometimes by flipping the collar up and going to the opposite movement, that movement suddenly becomes a little bit easier to spot. And so if you're getting what you feel is no movement in both the down and the up position, you can be, that's why they call it a double neutralization check, I guess. You can be doubly sure that you have neutralized. So it's a really, really nice retinoscope. It has a little soft rubber brow rest here, just jutting out. You can see there to sit against your brow, but it also comes with an elongated, harder plastic one, which for people who wear spectacles, it gives you a gap, so you can still rest it against your forehead and have it out in front of your spectacles, so you're not scratching them or having to sort of hover it in midair. So that's a really nice feature. It's Josh is just showing it there in the corner, if you can see that. Hopefully everyone can see it, and we can show it again tomorrow as well. You can change it to a spot ret, but you guys don't get taught spot ret as far as I'm aware now. So it's just so that you know it can be a spot ret. Change it to a spot ret bulb. They don't make an LED in this way, but I don't think that's going to be an issue anyway. And I touched on earlier the advantages of LED and the long usage time and the fact that they don't generate much heat. They actually have a lovely color temperature, so it's whiter than bulbs, but it's not blue either. You know, it's not like a drug injecting room. It's basically very, very close to daylight color, and that's why these LEDs have been so well accepted. So again, to wrap up the handhelds, just again reiterate the only difference between the two sets is the ophthalmoscope head, the specialist here, long one, or the professional. Retinoscope is the same, and all the accessories and chargers and handles and everything are the same. And you can see here the savings off the full price. So these things are less than half price in some cases. So huge, huge savings for you guys. The handles, you know, look, we're all used to lithium handles now. Lithium batteries don't need to be discharged fully and fully charged, you know, every week and all these silly things. It's like your mobile phone. You can charge it and discharge it whenever you want. They have long usage time of about 3 hours with LED, about 90 minutes with the bulb, and the charge cycle is only 2 hours. So even if it was dead flat, you would have it fully charged in less than 2 hours. You would have enough charge in it to use it within minutes, you know, to start using it. Nice little satin chrome finish, which is nice and smooth. If you want to have more grip, obviously Keeler supply these rubber grips which you can put on there, and you have a choice of colors. If you don't choose or stipulate a color on your order form, you will get black. If you wanted to have blue, green, or pink, you can choose that, and there's no extra charge for that. One of the nice things is you'll get 2 charging docks for the handles. So you'll get this one here, the desktop charger, which will have 2 handles sitting in it on the desktop. But you'll also get this, what we call mini charger. It's more of a travel charger, I suppose. So it could go somewhere if you were working, you know, somewhere remote or overseas, you know, a third world country, something like that, where you're volunteering. This is really handy because it's very small. And the other thing about the travel charger is it's got a cable coming into the bottom of it, and the handle actually sits into it. And if your device had run completely flat, you can put it in the charger and have it turned on, connected to the power supply to the wall, and you can use it while it's charging. So you don't even have to wait a few minutes to start using it. So that's a really nice thing as well. So you get both chargers. As part of getting a diagnostic set from us, we certainly have provided LED pen torches, you know, but LED pen torches are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. We've gone a step further as well. We're going to also give you one of these DFE Apollos, and this is one of the products that we designed and made. So it is a 5 times magnifying lens, and it has both a blue and white LED illumination. And it's very, very good for looking at skin lesions and so forth because it illuminates. You can look up close. Now, a lot of times you'll have a slit lamp and you'll be able to do that if it's around the eye. Where this is fantastic, again, is if you're traveling. It's one of these little nifty little gadgets if it's small and it can go wherever you go. Or if you're ever sort of becoming a bit of a specialist in pediatrics, particularly if you have to fit contact lenses onto babies or young children who can't get to a slit lamp, the blue light for this is fantastic because you can put some fluorescein in the eye and you can put the blue light over the eye and get a nice view of how that contact lens is fitting on the eye. So lovely little gadget and very, very handy. Which moves us on to the binocular indirect ophthalmoscopes. I'm going to start with the Rolls-Royce because not everyone can afford it. I understand it's the most expensive device we talk about here today, but this is an absolutely beautiful VIO. So perfectly balanced, slim, lightweight batteries, which Josh will show you just how small they are in the corner. He'll take a battery off and pop it in his hand, and it'll almost be dwarfed by his hand. It's that small. And you can see here against the paperclip, it's tiny. And you get 2 of those batteries because even though this device has been designed always to be running an LED illumination, and you'll get 6 hours of use with 1 battery, you can interchange that LED to a bulb. Again, this is so we're giving you options about slightly yellower light versus slightly whiter light, and you can choose which you prefer. And you will get both of those. So get LED and bulb illumination. And when you run it on bulb, of course, these smaller batteries are not as good. And so they give you 2. So you'll get 2 batteries, you'll get an LED and a bulb. But definitely LED is the way to go because it has the longest life, it's brighter, it's a whiter color, and you obviously get more charge out of your batteries. And if you do use bulb, you will need to replace them over time because they don't last anywhere near as long. One of the great things about the Keeler Vantage Plus is, and this is a little bit tricky to explain, I'll do my best to try and keep it simple, and hopefully the little graphic over here will explain it. When you use a binocular indirect ophthalmoscope, it really does require a dilated pupil to get the best view, okay? But what Keeler have done is they've said, and I don't want to think that it can go through a pupil quite that small. I don't think it's a good graphic in that sense, but think of this as a massive pupil, and then think of this one as a slightly less massive pupil, and this one slightly less again. This intelligent optics system that is on the Vantage Plus allows you to maximize stereo or 3D view when the pupil is not perfectly dilated. And where that's really important is particularly in diabetic patients because they don't dilate well. They're known to often not dilate well, and they're the very people that you might be looking in at the back of the eye with the VIO. And so what happens here is as you adjust the spot size, you can see here there's a large, medium, and small aperture spot size. And you would always do that. If the pupil's not very big, you would reduce the spot size so that you don't have just light just bouncing off the iris of the eye, because that's just wasteful and going to give you, unwanted reflection. So you would adjust your spot size to match the pupil. And when you do that, the optics actually converge. Right, you can see these 3 dots are coming together to get through this small pupil and maximize your stereopsis. Now, this isn't the first system to have the adjustable optics. And the previous version of the Vantage, you had to change the height, you had to change the width, you had to do it all independently. And that's probably fine if you really understand the system and know how to drive it, but most people didn't drive it and never actually changed it or had it in the wrong setting. It was silly. So what they've done here is they've aligned it with the aperture size. So as soon as you select a smaller aperture, it will start converging the optics to maximize that stereopsis. So you don't even have to think about it. It just happens. And it's absolutely brilliant. And I know that's quite a technical explanation, But trust me, when you have these less than perfectly dilated pupils, the Vantage Plus really sings. It's when it really hums. Another thing you'll get is a high mag lens attachment, which clips on the front of the BIO, and it's easily detached, so you don't have to use it, but it will come with the BIO, and Josh will show you that now. Just checking time, we've got half an hour. Yeah, so do I need to make that large? Can everyone see that? I hope you can. Maybe get it really close and just a slightly higher for us, Josh, if you can.
Yep.
So there's a lens sitting on the front, and in the normal position, you'd have the lens up in the air, and then you're looking with your 20D or your pan-retinal or your digital clear field lens, whatever you choose, and then when you see something, you think, oh, what's that? Something's not quite right there, but I can't quite tell because it's really small. You can flip this down, adjust your working distance slightly, and suddenly you're seeing it with far greater detail and with higher magnification. So it's a nice little add-on. It's like having an additional Volk lens without having to buy the Volk lens. Of course, it's plastic optics, so it's not as good as the Volk lens glass and the Keeler optics, but it could still give you a better view when you need it. As I mentioned, it's going to get an LED and a bulb, and the LED, as I said, they have enormous length of life, and they do often outlast the equipment themselves. Now that LED lens, that high magnification lens there that I spoke about actually can clip off the BIO. So if you really don't find it useful or don't want to use it, you can take it off so it's not always on there. And Josh can sort of demonstrate that now. So that's it. There's a picture of the LED. It's a slightly chunkier thing than a bulb, but it's just sits in the back, and obviously you can remove that and put the bulb in very easily if you need to. And huge savings off the full price. I mean, this thing is nearly nearly $6,000 at full price. And I think we've got it around the 3,200 mark or something like that. Leads us on to our second BIO, and this is the most commonly purchased BIO by all students in Australia and New Zealand, purely because it's a basic BIO, but it's a wireless BIO at an affordable price. And no one wants cords. I can tell you that right now. Everyone wants wireless. And kudos to Keeler for saying, we'll keep this older model going, and we'll make it with the big battery, and it'll keep the cost down so students can afford an entry-level wireless BIO without having to fork out the full price to go up to the higher models. So it is by far our biggest seller every year. And as I said, I've said repeatedly, at about 60% off the normal price. So it is a more basic BIO. It's got the 3 apertures, but you won't have the converging optics. Okay, but then again, no other cheap BIOs have got that anyway. It'll come by default with a bulb only. Okay, that's important, and you'll get up to 2 hours usage of that bulb because the battery on the wireless or pupil is a lot larger than the 2 small batteries that you get for the specialist. So you can see here it's much bigger. Okay, but it needs to be, because as I said, this is as a standard, this comes with a bulb, and so you need that extra power in the battery because the bulb will always use more power. Now you can upgrade to an optional LED, which with that huge battery will give you up to 11 hours of continuous use. Okay, and we'll show you how that works. And both these BIOs, the Vantage Plus and the All Pupil, come with a portable charger, which can also be wall mounted if you eventually settle in one place and want to put it on the wall, which is very handy. And you can see here, this is also about, well, it's normally over $5,000, I'm sure, and it's a very substantial discount. Now this sort of tries to show you the LED. Okay, it's on the back part of the BIO, and I might actually stop sharing briefly, Josh, and I'll let you get a nice big screen
I've
view.
I've just plugged it in, the LED. So can you see that it's attached there?
Yeah, so just turn it slightly so we can see more of the LED, if that makes sense. So you can see it's a little bit chunky. Yep. And do you have the bulb there to show as well? So you can pick that out and show the bulb.
Yep.
So that's the bulb. The LED is quite chunky, but the chunk is all on your head side. It's not out on the patient side, and then the bulb goes in like that. So just understand with the all pupil, by default, when you buy just the all pupil, it will come only with the bulb, which is that little black dot there on the back. You can pay extra to get the bulb and the LED, so it's more like the Vantage Plus, which you're already getting bulb and LED. Okay, so hopefully that's fairly clear. Go back to sharing. Thanks, Josh. Good man. All right. So there again, that's a nice picture of it. You can see how it slots in the back into that little hole where the bulb was. Now remember, guys, to jot down any questions in the chat and we'll cover them if we haven't already covered them in the talk at the end. Another BIO, which some years we sell none of, and other years, I mean, we had one at Deakin for a couple of years back. We did like 17 of these, I think. It was almost like one student had said, hey, this is the way to go, and went recruiting fellow students to buy it. But it's a spectacle mounted BIO. So it's essentially you wear it on your ears, on your nose. It's sort of a sports wrap sort of sunglass type frame. And obviously this isn't wireless because you couldn't wear that sort of weight on a spectacle. So it has a cord down to a battery. That's the battery sitting there in its little charging cradle. And you would clip that battery on your belt or in a pocket or something like that. Now, it's called Spectra Iris for a reason. And that is because it doesn't have a small, medium, and large aperture. It has a continuously variable aperture. So you can see here in its smallest point, it'll be letting a certain amount of light out. And here it has its full aperture letting. So you've got this continuously variable spot size. It's not a defined small, medium, large. Just easier to make it that way, smaller and lighter in this package where you want lightweight because it's going to be on your nose. So you've got a cobalt blue, a green filter, and then the standard white. And it is a basic BIO. But what's really nice about Spectra is you get a cable, a cord. You can actually wear it around your neck. A lot of ophthalmology registrars will walk from room to room with their BIO hanging around their neck. So no matter where they are, they've got that with them. In the hospitals. So it's less appealing, I suppose, to optometry, but obviously it's smaller, comes in a much smaller case, doesn't fill up your locker as much, it's cheaper, and it's another option there, again, with Keeler Renowned Optics, and another huge saving off the price. I wanted to just sort of show a little video here. I don't know if this will work. Is it going to work? Some nice footage of it was working last night. I love this. It's just some footage of the Keeler manufacturing process of the slit lamps and the loops and VIOs and other optical devices, ophthalmic devices that they make, and the quality control and all of that sort of stuff. So it doesn't look like it's going to play, which is a pain. No, annoying. I'm not going to waste time on it. Trust me, it's a nice video. Just shows all the quality control and the alignment and how precise they are in terms of their manufacturing, which sort of leads on to this point actually, because one of our competitors, who I won't name, certainly talk about German precision engineering, etc. And I know they do. I know they bang on about it quite hard, in fact. But one of the teams that has absolutely dominated Formula One, and even if you're not a Formula One fan, you probably still know of the name Lewis Hamilton and the Mercedes Formula One team. And if you just look there, they won championships in 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Absolutely dominated for, 67 years. And everyone hears Mercedes and thinks, German. And look where they're located. They're actually located in the United Kingdom. And when it comes to these sort of really high-end, tailored, bespoke finishing of products, high-end technology, optics, etc., Germany doesn't have a mortgage on these things. The UK has actually got a lot. If you look deeply, the UK has actually got a lot of high-end technology, and I think it's really important to sort of I'm using this as one example and calling that out, but it is a big, big thing that Mercedes is not based in Germany for their Formula One team. They're in the UK. So there you go. Make of that what you will. Now I'm going to talk about the full Keeler package bonus. This is where if you were to buy, essentially you're buying all of your equipment from Designs for Vision, Keeler BIO, Keeler Diagnostic Set, doesn't matter which model, anyone, doesn't matter. And then you buy your Volk lenses from us as well. So basically, like I said, everything from us. You'll actually get one of your Volk lenses for free, 20D or pan retinal BIO lens. You'll get a Keeler transilluminator for free. You get the BIO teaching mirror for free. You'll get a Volk lens pen, which is a cleaning device, which we can hopefully show you tomorrow. We got one to show tomorrow. Yep. And we can show you how that works. And you get then that's good for very quick cleaning on the run of your Volk lenses. It helps look after them, keep them free from dust and smears. And then you've got also the Volk cleaning towelettes, which are for deep cleaning, when you really need to give them a good clean out. And you also have the option to have your Volk lenses come all three in one case, so they're all together instead of having an individual case for each lens and sort of, which one am I grabbing? You just have your lenses open and you just grab the lens. And all of that adds up to, well, that's not $5,000 of value, but on some of the packages, by the time you got the discount on the actual Keeler devices themselves and the Volk lenses, and then all of these freebies, that can be over $10,000 worth of value that you'd be getting for about $5,000. It literally is a $5,000 saving on all of this stuff. It's that good. So, like I've said many years in the past to the students, we are delighted to receive any order and honored to receive any orders from you guys. But obviously, we want to maximise that and have you on board with DFE 100%. So the incentives are certainly there with the savings and the extra stuff and the extra freebies if you go full DFE, full Keeler, full Volk. Which leads me on to Volk. And really, there's just nothing like Volk. I could probably get up and show this slide and then say, done with Volk, because their patented design, which is, again, all glass lenses, and they have an aspheric design on both surfaces of the lens to minimize distortions, so that what you see through a Volk lens is as close to straight and perfect compared to other lenses, which often will induce spherical aberration. And so by choosing Volk, you're getting the highest quality lenses, you're getting the best resolution and the best imaging. And guess what? They're made of glass. Now, a little bit of a sort of basic fundamentals of fundoscopy. It's really important to cover this because there's not one lens that does everything perfectly, right? So if you want to have the highest magnification, you're going to suffer from having a reduced field of view, and you'll need to dilate that patient's pupil to actually get that increased magnification. Conversely, if you don't want if you want a large field of view and you want to be able to do it through smaller pupils, that's great, but you will not have very good magnification, so you lack detail in that image. All right, so there's no one lens that does everything perfectly. So, if you're going to get a slit lamp lens, you will try to pick something that's sort of in the middle that is a compromise, okay? And much the same with your BIO lens. It's about maximizing what you get. And to that end, Volk have the classic series. Now, some of these lenses actually probably developed 60 years plus ago now. It's been that long. I probably haven't updated this slide. And, they are literally, here's a 20 diopter lens. Yes, it's double aspheric. Yes, it's glass. So yes, it's still very good. But there's no, real tricks of optics. There's no extra high refractive index, specialized coatings or whatever to help minimize reflections. So it doesn't have any of the extra add-ons, but they're good. They're really good. Okay, so you're talking about your 20D, your 78D, and your 90D. So 20D BIO, 78 and 90 for slit lamp lenses. And all Volk non-contact lenses come with a 10-year warranty. The next level up is the Super Series. So that would include lenses on the slit lamp like Super 66 and Super Field. Now, Super 66 is kind of a higher mag lens. So again, you would have more need for dilation and you'd have a smaller field of view. So we definitely recommend Super Field. It is a 90D lens, all right, but it's just because they use a higher refractive index glass, they can make the lens larger, which gives you the ability to have more field of view than the standard 90. So the magnification of a 90 and a Super Field, identical, but you're much more field of view with a Super Field. And we would certainly recommend this lens. Now, believe it or not, there is a higher generation of lenses again, and I'll come to that in a second. But we don't necessarily recommend you jump straight into that, even though in theory they are the best. And as I said, I'll explain that. On the BIO side, it's not called a Super Series as such, but the Panretinal 2.2 is like, it's like it was a 22 diopter lens, if that makes sense. So it has the magnification that is very, very, very similar, only a fraction less than a 20D, but it has the field of view of something more like a 29 diopter lens, if that was to exist. All right, so this is a lens that is using higher index glass and providing something that a 20D can't do. Like I said, there's a fraction of trade-off in mag, but a massive gain in field of view. And the best part about Panretinal 2.2 is it's the same price as a 20D, whereas a Super Field is more expensive than a 90. Okay, so just to cover that again, the Super Series lenses at the slit lamp do go up in price. They do have better anti-reflective coatings, the higher index glass, etc. And we'd certainly recommend Super Field as a lens, the sort of next step up from a 90D. On the Panretinal side, though, it's the same price as a 20D, and absolutely no reason why you wouldn't take that extra field of view on offer. Okay, so certainly can highly recommend these two lenses as your, well, the ones that aren't the gonio lens, if that makes sense. Now, this leads us on to the third series I mentioned, the digital series. And yes, this is what Volk would describe as their best lenses, their best resolution. So they've used computerized geometry designs, analyzing thousands and thousands of data points across the lens. And yes, they give the highest resolution. They use the highest index glass. They have the best anti-reflective coatings. And for a given dioptric power, they'll give you the best fields of view, no question. And probably the closest thing to the Super Field would be this digital wide field, which is here. And it is a great lens. However, as a student starting out with this, it's got a very, very close working distance. So you're almost on the patient's eyelashes, which means another thing with that is you have to clean them frequently, which over time, if you've got gunk on there and you're cleaning it, you will wear the anti-reflective coating. So that's another point. But I remember when this lens was first released by Volk, and we came in and sort of said to the students, we've got this great new lens, everyone should get this one, this is the best one. And then the next year, all we had was complaints because a lot of people found it really difficult to use. So if you can get into that sweet spot of the working distance being much closer to the eye, it's an amazing lens. As a person starting out, that's not easy to do. And that's why we say to you, perhaps don't, if you really want to back yourself, absolutely buy a digital wide field tool. You might not regret it. But if you think, well, I want to start with something that's easier and I know I'm going to be able to use, then 90D or the Super Field are definitely easier to use with that longer working distance from the eye. Okay. So that's just a little bit about the top end of their range. With the gonio lenses, I always mention that they make a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 mirror. They make lenses with handles, but I'm also here to tell you that to disregard the 1, 2, 3, and 6 mirrors and disregard the handle. Basically, the uni wants you to get a 4 mirror with no flange. Make sure you order the no flange, okay, as your standard one. Now, if you wanted to order a 3 mirror as well with a flange, absolutely go for it. But for the 4 mirror, no flange, and then really your one question to decide is, do I go with the standard, essentially standard view is no magnification on top of the 1:1, all right? So it's just a straight view. The high mag version is 1.5 mag, so it actually enhances the structures in the angle, which are really delicate and difficult to see. So that the extra mag is quite a good thing. And the additional cost to go from standard mag 4 mirror to a high mag is not a huge jump. I mean, it's $25 or something like that. It's not much. So again, that's really the choice. It's 4 mirror all the way, no flange, no handle. Do you want high mag or not high mag is really the question. DFE's added an extra year to the warranty. So Volk's warranty is 4. We've said, you know what, let's just make it 10 for non-contact and 5 for contact lenses. So we cover that extra year warranty for you. And yeah, look, there's the thing to say about the G series and the G again, we come back to that theme of glass, is these are all glass, okay? And that's why they give such a great view, and why people come back to them year in, year out, even though they're not a cheap lens, and we're first to admit that. I mean, they're not cheap. One thing, if you do get it, we'll certainly reiterate this. If you do buy the gonio lens from us, you should never clean them with alcohol, okay? And I won't go into all why that is, but we've certainly make sure when you get your items delivered, we'll have all the cleaning instructions and what have you, and what to and do and what not to do, and so forth. But just because they're glass, normally alcohol and glass is fine. It's to do with the mirror underneath that blue coating. So you don't want alcohol getting underneath that and wrecking the mirrors. So, you know, if it was an acrylic gonio lens, you absolutely can't use alcohol on it because it'd actually go cloudy. The glass won't go cloudy, but if you get alcohol under there, you can damage the mirror. So that's why we say don't use alcohol. And we'll obviously, as I said, give you all the tips on how to clean it if you do purchase them from us. I do like to show this lens because the G6 is quite a cool lens. And essentially, it means that you can see all the parts of the angle without having to turn the lens. You just move the slit lamp around and have a look as you go. But the uni isn't teaching 6 mirror as the standard. So you're being asked to sort of, you know, ignore that and just stick with the 4 mirror. This is a really important point because Volk offer an engraving service so that when it's being made, your name is printed on the side of the lens here in perfect, you know, font and perfectly neat. It's actually done with laser etching. We charge an $11 fee per lens because the administrative burden on us actually making individual lenses for everyone is quite tiresome, and it's a lot of work, and invariably can, you know, if Volk does the one letter incorrectly, then they've got to be remade. It's a from us, from our side of things, it's a pain, but I accept that Volk offer it, and so therefore we do want to offer it to you. But I say this very, very clearly in no uncertain terms. One of the things that we do, and part of us coming in as a company to sell equipment to the students, part of that is if you guys order, and then before delivery comes, because it usually takes about 3 months, we bring it all in and we pack it and check it and everything and deliver it to you a few months later. If in that time you fail optometry or you defer your studies or you leave to do something else, we accept that you cancel your order and any monies you've paid to us would go back to you. So essentially a refund if it is undelivered to you in unused, right? So it's brand new and we'll take it and we'll sell it to someone else. But as you can imagine, if you've had your lenses engraved, we can't do that. So you need to be 100% sure that optometry is going to be your go for your career if you're going to get your lenses engraved, because if you do pull out of optometry for whatever reason between ordering and delivery, you will be taking the lenses if they're engraved and you will be paying for them. And we do this, we say this very, very clearly because I want to keep offering this option to students so they can have the engraving. But, you know, we've had people come back and say, oh, I've pulled out of optometry, I don't need my gear anymore. Well, your lenses are engraved. Well, I don't need them. Well, you need to pay for them, because if that happens again, where someone refuses to pay for them, we will actually take the whole engraving off the plate, off the table as an option, because it's not fair, right? So you need to understand, if you get your lenses engraved and we're no problem with you ordering them engraved, you are going to be keeping them even if you don't proceed with optometry, and they must be paid for. I hope I can't make it any clearer than that. So really important point. A new thing for this year is an innovation that Volk have come up with called ClearPod. This has all become relevant because patients are wearing masks and the warm breath is coming up the mask and causing condensation to occur, fogging to occur on the cold lens surface. And obviously this is an innovation that's come out of the pandemic with everyone wearing masks. And so they've developed for the most common lenses, the 78D, 90D, digital wide field, and the super field, these things called ClearPods. And they just clip onto the lens, and they have this sort of half barrel at the bottom, which prevents the fog or the heat of the breath coming up and condensing on the lens and causing a fog. The other really nice advantage, and you guys are welcome to read through this stuff later because we've got a link to some more information, is not only do they prevent fogging, they click on and off really easily, and they actually work as a bit of a working distance. So like once you push that into the patient's lid and you're sitting there, you've now got that lens at the perfect distance, and you'll be able to, maybe we can do digital wide field after all, Josh. But yeah, I mean, you are still much closer to the eye with digital wide field, so the lashes become more of an issue with cleaning. But this is a new innovation. These are normally $88. We're offering them at $66 if you want, and those options are in the order form. So you just choose a 78D with ClearPod or a 90D with ClearPod if you want that, and the price will be added onto the cost of the lens. So in wrapping up, remember, if you buy everything from us, you get all of that extra $1,000 freebies value. And in total, with some of those packages, as I mentioned, you might be saving as much as $5,000 off the entire delivery of equipment to you. A little bit of housekeeping in terms of the order form. If you're going to go with the package offer where you get everything from us, you would order from page 1 of the form, okay? And just select your BIO, select your diagnostic set, choose your lenses. Your freebie items are down here, and so fill it in. If you want any additional items, then you can add them onto page 2, okay? Or if you are just ordering, I'm just ordering Volk lenses, or I just want a diagnostic set but not the BIO, something like that. If you're just picking individual items, then just order from page 2. Okay, so hopefully that's fairly straightforward. So yeah, packages page 1, individual items page 2. If you're going to get a package and want extra things, not that we are going to allow you to buy 3 super fields because it's for you only, obviously. But if you were wanting a trial frame or something like that, you would just add that on page 2. Now, I'm sure you've all got your smartphones handy. We're going to put a QR code up on the screen here, and this will take you to a hosted folder which has more information on Volk lenses, the ClearPod, Keeler Diagnostic Equipment. It has the order form, and it's a bit more information on the pricing. It has a couple of little videos and things, so hopefully some of those videos might actually play that didn't play during the presentation. And I've really run out of time. We've only got 2 minutes left. One more thing, you don't need to pay at the time of order. We will certainly get you to pay before the delivery, and we'll be in touch with you to arrange that. So, maybe a few weeks to a month out from delivery, we'll be talking to you about getting payment so that that's all done and dusted, because we certainly won't be delivering any gear to anyone who hasn't paid ahead of the delivery day. And that is the end of the show, but I need to go back to the questions, as I'm sure there's some in the chat. Have we got a few?
No, there's nothing in the chat, but
okay.
It'd be worth mentioning that
Oh,
we're actually going to be seeing all of you guys tomorrow morning for the equipment demo. So if you do have any questions, write them down or keep them in mind and ask us tomorrow when you actually got your hands on some of the gear.
And have a look at that QR code, and some of your questions might also be answered there. So tonight would be a good time to look at that in readiness for tomorrow, and we look forward to meeting you all then. If there are any burning questions, please feel free to type something in the chat just now. Well, we're basically up to the end, and I'm sorry I rabbited on, but I feel like I've covered everything. So, there's not something that stands out to me that I've forgotten. So I know it's a heck of a lot of information, but hopefully, again, it also demonstrates our knowledge of the products. And we're not trying to always sell you the highest and best of everything. i.e. the Volk lens, etc. We're trying to guide you with the knowledge that we've had over doing, especially myself doing it for 20 years and Josh now for 3.5. What has worked well best and best for students and what's good value, etc. So, we want to be there for you and be still supporting you in many years to come. So the last thing we want to do is stitch you up now. We want to do the right thing by you at all times, and we appreciate any orders that we get from you guys. We've had a very long history of doing very, very well at University of Melbourne, and we're very thankful for that. So right on 2:00, I think we're going to call it a day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Alison. Thanks, everyone, for coming along and listening to my monotone, boring voice. Ciao.